Welcome to The Explainer. You know, our picture of the ancient past is always changing. It's constantly being redrawn. And sometimes, well, the first drafts are just spectacularly wrong.
So what if I told you that some of the scariest, most bizarre monsters of the ancient world were actually just invented by mistake? Let's dive into how a few wrong guesses and some missing pieces created creatures that never really existed.
I mean, think about it. Paleontology is basically the science of rebuilding ancient life from just scraps of bone. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle that's millions of years old, with most of the pieces gone forever. So yeah, it's no surprise that sometimes the first guess is, well, a little bit off.
Okay, so our first section is first drafts and false identities, getting the basics completely wrong. Let's kick things off with some of the most dramatic cases of mistaken identity, starting with the very first dinosaur ever named.
All right, check this out. Megalosaurus. Back in 1824, scientists literally had no frame of reference for a dinosaur. So what did they do? They pictured this huge, 70-foot-long, four-legged lizard, kind of like a giant crocodile. They even got a bit philosophical, calling it a merciful killer. But the reality? Whoa, totally different. We're talking a 30-foot, two-legged predator, fully land-based, and the apex predator of its time. What a glow-up.
Okay, now put yourself in the shoes of a paleontologist in the Gobi Desert, 1948. You unearth this, a set of giant 3-foot-long claws. I mean, these are the biggest claws ever found. What in the world could they possibly belong to?
So what was the first guess? Well, let's just say it was not what you'd expect. You ready for this? They thought it was a giant 15-foot aquatic turtle. A turtle. The logic was, hey, there are some turtle fossils around here, so these giant claws must be for raking seaweed? Yeah. The reality, as we now know, is a super bizarre long-necked dinosaur, probably an herbivore, that used those claws to pull down branches. Just wow.
And the best part? The mistake is literally cemented into its scientific name forever. Therizinosaurus chelonoformis. That second part, chelonoformis, it just means turtle form. It's a permanent reminder of that wild first guess.
So moving on. In the 1980s, a fossil was found that seemed to be the largest spider of all time. This thing, Megalosaurus, quickly became a superstar in museums and documentaries. You know, a real-life she-lot.
And we're talking huge, 34 centimeters. That's way bigger than the Goliath bird eater, the biggest spider alive today. This was supposed to be a true monster from the Carboniferous period, you know, the age of giant bugs.
So for 25 years, everyone thought this giant spider prowled ancient forests. But then, a more complete fossil turned up. And guess what? Not a spider. Not even close. It was a Eurypterid, a sea scorpion. It lived in fresh water, sifting around for little critters. It wasn't even on land. Total case of mistaken identity.
And look, it wasn't just tiny fragments that threw scientists off. They found a nearly complete Pterodactylus fossil way back in the 1700s. But it was so weird, they just couldn't wrap their heads around a flying reptile. So their best guess? It was an aquatic animal that used its wings as flippers, like a prehistoric penguin or something.
Okay, moving on to our next section. Assembling the unthinkable, when one animal looks like many. Because sometimes the fossils were so bizarre, scientists didn't just mistake one animal for another. They thought they had found a whole bunch of different animals.
This is the story of Anomalocaris, the ultimate puzzle. Its mouth was found and cataloged as a type of jellyfish. Its front appendages were thought to be the body of a weird shrimp, and its actual body, classified as a sea cucumber. All three were found together, but no one put them together.
It took ages for someone to finally realize, hey, maybe all these weird things are one super weird thing. And when they pieced it together, they got Anomalocaris, the abnormal shrimp. And it turned out to be one of Earth's very first apex predators during the Cambrian explosion. The reality was way cooler than the jellyfish, shrimp, and sea cucumber they thought they had.
Speaking of mysteries, let's talk about the horrible hands. For almost 50 years, the dinosaur Dinosaurus was known from exactly one piece of evidence, a pair of absolutely gigantic arms with huge claws. That's it. That's all they had.
So you can imagine the speculation was just wild. Was it some kind of super T-Rex? A bizarre giant sloth-like thing? A slender predator with freakishly big arms? Nope. The truth, finally uncovered in 2013, was somehow even weirder. It turned out to be this giant, humpbacked ornithomimosaur with a duck-like face. an omnivore that used its claws for digging and gathering. Nobody saw that coming.
All right, next up, the fish that lived, a mistake of extinction. Because, maybe the biggest mistake you can make isn't about what an animal looked like. It's about thinking it's dead when it's not.
This brings us to a really cool concept called a Lazarus taxon. It's a name for a species that vanishes from the fossil record, is presumed extinct for millions of years, and then just pops back up again. And there is no better example of this than the coelacanth. Just get a load of this timeline. The first fossils of this fish show up 250 million years ago. Then, 66 million years ago, at the same time the dinosaurs get wiped out, it just disappears from the fossil record. Gone, assumed extinct. Until 1938, when a fisherman off the coast of South Africa pulls one out of the water, alive.
And you can just feel the absolute shock of the scientist J.L.B. Smith who got to see it. He said, "I was being hit by a white-hot blast, my whole body tingling. Can you even imagine seeing an animal that you thought was as dead as a T-Rex, swimming, breathing right in front of you? It's just unbelievable."
So, our final section here. Science is never finished. Why getting it wrong is how we get it right. Because here's the thing, all these stories, they're not really about failure. This is exactly how science is supposed to work. Every mistake is just a draft, a stepping stone that gets corrected by new evidence, and each one gets us a little bit closer to what was really going on.
And it really makes you wonder, right? What discoveries that we think are rock-solid facts today will be looked back on as tomorrow's big mistake? What will scientists 100 years from now be chuckling about when they look at our reconstructions? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like, and don't miss new videos.